why the slide is blank? Because we are gonna talk about oxygen. We can't say it, we can't feel it, but it brings the significant color in our life. Hello good people, this is Sumaya and I am representing group E, and our topic was the significant oxygen in the atmosphere. Firstly, we have to know what is oxygen. Oxygen is a non-metal element that is a gas at room temperature. Its molecules contain two oxygen atoms. The word oxygen came from two Greek words, the oxy and the genes, which means acid forming. Let's dive into the chronology. Approximately 2 or 3 billion years ago, some photosynthesizers like the blue-green cyanobacteria or the purple microbes showed up, and they used the sun as energy to convert the carbon dioxide and water into food and released the oxygen. And these little microbes changed the chemical reaction around the biosphere where we live, right? And approximately 200 million years ago, this oxygen reacted with the iron in the ocean. Let's talk about the early appearance of oxygen exhalers. There's a big question that if these cyanobacteria appeared long before the GOE, the Great Oxygenation Event, then why did it take several of hundreds of millions of years to exhale the oxygen in the atmosphere? The answer we got from researcher Papineau and his colleagues. He told us the early oxygen from cyanobacteria have been destroyed by a preponderance of methane. These two gases react with each other and produces carbon dioxide and water, and oxygen cannot accumulate in a methane-rich environment, right? And this methane came from microbes called methanogens. It spew out the methane. And after that, at the time of GOE, these organisms went into decline, and then resulting methane depleted atmosphere began to fill with the oxygen from cyanobacteria. We put an ayat from Surah Yasin from the Holy Al-Quran, which is, "He who made for you from the green tree fire and then from it you ignite." What does it mean? The green trees and plants have chlorophyll and it helps in the process of photosynthesis, right? And from the photosynthesis, the oxygen produces, and this oxygen helps us to make the fire. Let's talk about the importance of oxygen. We divided this part into two eras, the combustion process, the respiration process. Let's talk about the combustion process. Oxygen helps in burning of the hydrocarbon fuels like the petrol, the oil, the coal, from which we heat our homes and power our cars. Secondly, welding using oxyacetylene torches is another important industrial application where acetylene gas and oxygen is mixed in a correct proportion. Thirdly, and most importantly, if the oxygen suddenly disappears, what will happen? No production of fire we will get, all the moving vehicles will stop, and most importantly, it is bound to make the city collapse in an instant. Let's watch a video.
Imagine if all the Earth's oxygen disappeared. Not forever, just for say, 5 seconds. Would we just hold our breath? What would happen to the atmosphere? What would happen to the environment? This is what if. And here's what would happen if the world lost oxygen for just 5 seconds. Take a nice deep breath. Feel how satisfying that is? What you're breathing in is oxygen. It takes up roughly 21% of our atmosphere, with 78% being nitrogen. Although it's not the most abundant gas in our atmosphere, it is the most important. Without oxygen, plants, animals, water, and us humans wouldn't be where we are today. 5 seconds may not sound like a whole lot of time to be without oxygen. Most of us can go at least 30 seconds without taking a breath, so it would happen too fast for your body to even notice. Your breathing would actually remain normal, but as for everything else, not so much. In just 5 seconds, the Earth would look completely different. Without oxygen, you can say goodbye to the Hoover Dam, the Pantheon Dome, and anything else made of concrete. These structures would instantly collapse. Oxygen acts as a special binding agent to concrete. Without it, concrete is just dust. Speaking of buildings, any untreated metal would instantly be fused together. This is because there's a layer of oxidation on metals that prevents them from welding together. Without that layer, metals would instantly bind to each other. If you happen to be relaxing at the beach at the time, expect a severe sunburn. The ozone layer, our protection against the sun's UV rays, is made of oxygen. Take away the oxygen and the Earth would become extremely dangerous. There would be nothing protecting us from the sun's UV rays. In addition to a sunburn, our inner ear would explode. Losing oxygen means losing 21% of our air pressure. A change in air pressure that drastic is equivalent to being at sea level and dropping down 2,000 meters instantly. Our ears wouldn't have enough time to adapt. Having a good time yet? Well, don't expect it to last long. Without oxygen, there's no fire. The combustion process in vehicles wouldn't be able to occur. Any mode of transport that isn't electric will automatically fail. Planes will fall from the sky, and millions of cars will be stopped in their tracks. The sky would be completely dark. Before it hits the Earth, light from the sun bounces off multiple particles in the air. Without oxygen in the atmosphere, there are less things to bounce off, and the sky will appear dark. Oh yeah, and while all this is happening, the Earth's crust would completely crumble. That's because Earth's crust is made up of 45% oxygen. The crust would crumble and continue to crumble until there's nothing left, sending you and everyone on the planet into a free fall. Sound like fun?
So, oxygen is an important element to keep the human building from sticking. For example, oxides help in welding naturally, right? So, if the oxygen disappears, the city will be collapsed in few seconds. Secondly, the respiration in most living organisms. Firstly, oxygen helps in the biological processes in body, such as protein construction or muscle contraction. We need energy to live, right? And we obtain this energy from oxidizing the food. We use the oxygen to breathe in and absorbed by the plants and convert them into adenosine triphosphate. Secondly, most of the elderly people can increase blood oxygen partial pressure and saturation by breathing pure oxygen, right? In this COVID-19 situation, the elderly people can improve the body hypoxia state by breathing pure oxygen. And thirdly, most of the patients with several diseases like the pulmonary disease or the cardiovascular disease can increase the ability of tissue cells to use oxygen. That's all from our group. Thank you. And lastly but not the least, we believe oxygen is not only important in the atmosphere but also in the other areas. Thank you.